All right, everyone. This is a news story that was actually referenced in yesterday's live stream. It takes place in Virginia, and a man actually got crushed to death by a bear falling out of a tree. I'm going to read a little bit of this verbatim. This is clearly hard-hitting news. Lunenburg County, Virginia. A Virginia man died after a hunting incident with a bear. On December 9th, so this is a little while ago, I didn't know about the story, though. The Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources was notified of an incident in Lunenburg County, Virginia. A group of hunters had tracked a bear up into a tree and retreated from the base of the tree before shooting the bear, the DWR said. One hunter in the group, a 58-year-old man named Lester C. Harvey, was standing roughly 10 feet from the tree where the bear was shot. When the bear fell from the tree, it landed on Harvey, and then several days later he died of his injuries. He literally got killed by a bear that was already dead at the time. Just a little bit of a hunting tip. That's not a great idea. You might want to be maybe 20 feet from the tree or something like that. Once you've treed the animal, it's probably not a good idea to be standing almost directly under it, because it can hit a branch and go tiddly-winking off, and then you end up like Lester Harvey, unfortunately. So yeah, be careful of that. I just thought that the story was interesting. I don't know of any other incident of this happening, but it did remind me of something else, forestry related actually. Like my grandfather, Grandpa Bob, I've referenced him considerably. Great man, by the way, extremely intelligent, exceptionally skilled in many, many ways. He used to build model airplanes, and he had like a 1/4 scale Camel biplane down in the basement at one point. I don't even know how they got it out of the basement, actually. I don't know how they fit it through the door. It was huge. He was very skilled. But one time, he was doing forestry work. I think he was clearing brush and branches and shit like that out of the trees. And a piece of the tree, a branch came down, smacked him on the back of the head. He actually had an indentation on the back of his head from it. He's lucky that he wasn't killed. The widowmakers, it's another thing that you should be aware of when you're working around trees. We've got a bunch of trees on the property right now that are half dead, and there are huge limbs hanging over, and every time it's a windy day, one of them falls down and shit like that. It needs a little bit of maintenance along the edge of the property, to the point where you probably shouldn't walk over there at the moment. Although I will say that that dry wood in spring makes for an excellent bonfire. It makes for an excellent fire starter. It's really fun to burn that. I was carbonizing some of it. Some of the terra preta out in the garden actually is from the side of the property, or the wood lot on the other side. There are a couple of trees over there that are a little bit sketchy too. And then it reminded me of another thing that happened. I actually had never seen a bear. And I live in the North Woods, so they're relatively common. They weren't very common maybe like back in the 90s, but as the state has reforested, bears are becoming more and more prolific. And they don't tell tourists this because they'll get scared of Yogi eating them, but I think there's only been like one bear attack in the state's history that was fatal, so I wouldn't worry too much. I think that was a woman, and she went into her garage and the bear mauled her because it was trapped in the garage trying to eat her pantry or something like that. That was back when I was a kid. I remember that story. I think I was in middle school at the time. But I actually did finally see a bear. It was a juvenile. And this juvenile is still alive, only now it's probably 400 pounds. It was climbing up in one of the trees in the backyard. And my dad's like, yeah, you gotta come and see this. And there's this bear there, probably 50 pounds, a juvenile. But it definitely survived because that same bear is now huge and raids people's trash on the reg in this general area. And then I was reminded of the fact that I heard a lynx, only a few weeks ago actually, heard a lynx doing its cat call out in the woods. At first I thought it was a kid screaming. I'm like, shit, I better go and see what's up. But then I remembered, that sounds awfully familiar. Thankfully, I did not go out because a lynx can also kill you. Oh, it'll jump out of the trees on purpose and maul you. You're prey to that. Although I think the lynx was just horny. So yeah, a little bit of a flippant Christmas Eve video here. Man shoots bear, gets crushed, and dies. I have not seen any contemporary example of this sort of thing happening, although I have a feeling that it does happen. Be careful. Don't get a dead animal that weighs 300 pounds dropped on your head. It might be bad for your health. That's about all. Peace. Peace out.